Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Square It Up. We're here at the Swinford Media Group. I'm Bill Swinford.
I'm Monica Daniels.
And we are so thrilled to bring you another episode of our podcast today. Swinford Media Group is the owner of the Marion Star, the Carterville Courier, and the Heron Independent newspapers. And we have all these social media sites that you follow, I'm sure, including WFCN News. And so there's been a lot going on over the last couple of weeks, and we've tried to keep you abreast of some of it. We can't keep up with the news, it seems. And one of the things that we hinted at a couple podcasts ago, and then it came to fruition, was that Granny Puckett's was reopening, and now they're fully open and welcoming customers once again.
They are, and making my favorite cookie, the macaron cookie. If you haven't had it yet, it is this beautiful French cookie that comes in all different kinds of colors and flavors, and my kids like to call it Pretty Patties from SpongeBob, but I'm like, it's not. It's a beautiful French cookie that's difficult to make, but they do it really well. And just this week, they actually paired it up with a wine from Milkweed Provisions.
Right there next door.
We
introduced people to Kara, the owner of Milkweed, in a previous podcast as well.
Yeah, and it's just they have such a great relationship there, right next to each other, and between their cookies and Milkweed Provisions wines, it's it was a really nice to have them back and have that really beautiful locations right there on the square.
Yeah, it's automatically brings folks back downtown. Things are starting to get a little easier to navigate around the square. There still are a lot of barriers set up because there is still some major work happening, and as I've mentioned before, they are going to be turning over the pavement soon, and putting in some new pavers and things like that will be a major thing. So there's still a lot of stuff happening. You'll still, as you approach the square, if you're in Marion or if you live in Marion, as you approach the square, you'll still sometimes have some areas, parts of it blocked off as the work continues. And we want to continue to encourage you to patronize these Milkweed Provisions and Granny Puckett's and the Vault. We were at the Vault yesterday, and try to get there, even though you might not be able to park on the square. It might be hard to get to them. There's plenty of parking within a couple blocks of the square that you can work your way up to. But
definitely worth it.
Worth
a little bit of a walk.
Sandy at the Vault took good care of us yesterday.
She did.
She's so sweet.
Great people. Love going in there. Always feel so welcomed.
We always eat in the Vault when we can, and that's a whole another experience. So if you haven't been to the Vault, that's in the Citadel building, the tall white building.
Yes.
On the west side of the square. And upstairs from the Vault is Ethos. And Ethos is directed by Russ Williams, and we have a special guest today that is related to Russ Williams.
Yes, we do. And speaking of welcoming, we have a wonderful guest that's going to be with us today. Her name's Rocio Williams. She is here from Mexico. She moved here from Mexico, is married to Russ, and she's going to be telling us all about her experience here in Marion and her ministry. Yeah,
and she's such a pleasure, and I look forward to getting to sit down with her and have an extended conversation. I've known Rocio for a long time now, and she's got a lot to offer us and a lot of insight as somebody coming in from not just outside the area, outside of the country.
Right.
And
she's a joy, for sure.
A couple of things that I wanted to mention before we go into that interview, and we'll get ready here in a second to bring Rocio in, but a couple of things to be looking for. This week in the Marion Star, if you grew up in Marion in the last 20 years or so, played in band, as my kids did, you probably had the privilege of playing under Jim Childers, who's been the director of the Marion Junior High School bands for quite a while now. And he and I actually ran track against each other in high school. I'm from Heron, and Jim was an outstanding runner in Marion. And so I've known of Jim for a long time, but I've only gotten to know Jim since my kids have had him, and such a lot of fun. The kids love him, such a great sense of humor. But beyond all that, the level that he raises, the bar he's raised that program to, as far as taking his junior high bands to contest and often competing against high school bands and coming out on top it's amazing.
It is.
Yeah. And Marion's, don't get me wrong, Marion's bar for for their music programs has always been pretty high, but he's even taken it another notch. Anyway, he's retiring this year, and we have a story in this week's Marion Star, and there's also a video interview that's been done with him that I think they called it Mr. Childers' Opus, that is going to be dropping on our channels, may already be up. And so go looking for that. It's a great interview with him and a couple of the other people that are meaningful in his life, that you'll enjoy that. So that's something to be looking for this week. Also in our papers this week, all of our papers are our graduation sections where we highlight the seniors from the different high schools in our county. And so look for that. It's always a keepsake kind of a thing. And we'll mention a couple other things later, but I think we're about ready to bring on Rocio.
Joining us today is a very special guest. Her name is Rocio Williams. She has moved here from Mexico, and her husband have a wonderful ministry called Churros and Chocolate. She is here today to tell us about her ministry and to teach us about her culture and everything that I am just really wanting to pick her brain about, and what she can teach us about the Hispanic culture. I really am impressed with how her country does community, and I just want to learn as much as I can for her, for my own life. Thank you, Rocio. It's such a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm excited.
Yeah. So can you tell us about where you come from and your ministry here in Marion?
It's been almost 16 years. I am originally from Mexico City. I met my husband in Monterrey, Mexico, doing mission. And we got married, and I moved to Marion and been living here since then. And it's been really exciting just to, I guess, the moving here, and all the adjustments and things, and now seeing the city grow in just such an amazing way. I tell people this is not the Marion that I moved into, back then, like 16 years ago. It has evolved and has grown so much. And
we say the same thing when we talk about having just moved on the square about 10 years ago, and the square is just so radically different.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And being part of that somehow, it's just been like a really, really good thing for me to see and to experience. When I moved here, one of the things that I was looking for was community. You were mentioning about the community and how different that can be, from places like Mexico and United States, and there are some different things. And speaking about Marion, I remember asking Russ, "Hey, where do people gather here? Like, I want Saturday night, I wanted to go to the park or to the plaza or, places where we usually go in Mexico." And he was like, "Well, I don't know, the mall?" kind of thing.
Russ is a local boy. He's very much Southern Illinois. Grew up in West Frankfort, spent some time in Georgia and some other places, but landed back here, and we're so grateful he did for many reasons, but also because he brought you here, and then he had to help you adjust not just to America, but to Southern Illinois culture.
Right. And I guess, coming from there, that big sense of community, was just ingrained in me, and I was really looking to that. So there was a lot of learning and adjusting to that, but I think we have a great community too. It's just different culturally. You will find different differences, but overall,
what was the differences that you? Because I've had international friends for a long time now. I started out. I was an RA at a dorm that was an international dorm, and there were people there from Hispanic countries like Mexico and Colombia, and also the Middle East, and they would come in with this. In Japan, I had a great group of friends from Japan, and they come in from this community very much involved in each other's lives to an American culture that was just so independent. Americans want to do it on their own and do it themselves, and their approach is so different. And a lot of those people that I met, like, they had some loneliness coming here, trying to adjust to relating to Americans and not having the same kind of connection. So what was your experience in coming in from just a completely different culture into this independent American type of mindset?
It was hard. I mean,
Yeah.
what you're mentioned is exactly the way I felt. Very isolated. In countries like Mexico, we do community very much into, like, you mentioned, very, I don't know how to say it. It's not kind of like intrusive almost, but we are together like the whole time. Your neighbors, you have the neighbors over all the time. You have your people, your family showing up, at random times during the day.
You don't have all these walls between
No.
families and people the way that we have here, where you just people here value their privacy so much. And I remember my experience in Mexico, going to Mexico and being around folks. This was in Saltillo, the Saltillo area, being just one of the biggest impressions I got is how welcoming they were, how they threw their doors open, and immediately you felt that sense of friendship and family, and it wasn't like you have to break through a barrier or get to know people first.
That's exactly right. And it can go both ways, right? Sometimes you're like, okay, people, this is too much. We need some space here.
I need some privacy.
But but community definitely is done, when we're just so close to each other, like all the time, and not just in companionship, but also living life together. And some of the things that you'll find in the culture, in Mexican culture, is that because we live so close, we kind of feel the right to, tell you how to live, which what I'm saying can be both ways, good and bad, but we just live so close that we have opinions for everything and for everybody, something that is a difference here, it's
and that for us that is more of a family experience to have people that involved in your business and giving their opinions, and sometimes even family, we're cutting them off because we don't want to we don't want to have that. We don't want to have that involved in us. But why is that important though? Why do you think that's a value that Mexico has that maybe should be translated more to our culture?
Well, I think it just comes from generations. I mean, it's just natural and expected, having your family over and having your family involved in raising your children, and having your family, you see, the mothers or the grandmas really involved in that, uncles, aunts, cousins doing life together. And it's just kind of like the tradition of the culture. It's kind of expected, like having family over weekends. It's the weekend, okay, family's coming, and we're going to have a carne asada, or we're going to have, a meal together. We're going to go to church together, and we're going to come back.
So it's about taking care of each other.
It's like, taking care of, yes. It's a very maternal society.
Right.
And I think mothers really are like a little bit overbearing sometimes, but that's just cultural.
Sometimes you see in American cultures, people kind of pull back in those situations, pull away from the mother-in-law or pull away from the sister. How do you guys overcome that conflict and just stay in there together, even though like you're going through these hard things of being like someone being over opinionated or pushy? Like how do you do that?
I think it's just part of the living with family. I mean, I don't know any family, that has no problems at all. Like, even my families, it's the conflict of being together, but it's also living through the conflict. Like, the next Saturday we're gonna get here. We're gonna be here again, and maybe we're gonna take a break from you guys for a month. But then Grandma's birthday come, and we're all there again. That kind of thing it will be very difficult if you live in Mexico and you move away from your family, because that's sort of like the way we live, just very close to each other, very close to friends, very close to family, doing community together all the time, and that's just part of what it is.
It's commitment. Yeah.
It is commitment. Yes, absolutely. And I think that's one of the things that actually moved us to start this ministry, because the longing that I felt, when I moved here, to have that sense of close community was strong. So I was looking to see how can we create this where people can feel welcome, people can have that missing part of their lives, as Hispanic countries. So yes, that's why Churros and Chocolate started.
I loved being there. Like, I had the honor of visiting your ministry, and I felt, as soon as I walked in the door, like, I just felt so loved and so welcomed.
And you meet Sunday nights right now at the Boys and Girls Club here in Marion. Yeah, the last one that we went to was kind of a big event, wasn't it?
It was the launch of our Sunday services.
We should say also that outside of folks from your country, there are folks from several other countries, Spanish speaking and otherwise, that come.
We have about representation of about 11 Hispanic countries. It's pretty phenomenal. I mean, from Central America to South America, and there has been people that I've met that I didn't even know they were in Marion, Illinois, and you know people from Dominican Republic, and people from Cuba, Chile, Peru. You're like, where have you been? So this has been one of the amazing things of having Churros and Chocolate, that people hear about it, and they come and see what is this thing, and that's how God has brought us together in now what is Churros, but. It is so cool to see, people that said, I didn't even know there was something like this. And this is amazing. And just to come and have some time to speak Spanish even, and joke in Spanish and just eat your favorite foods and Hispanic foods is just such a great feeling. And especially because we do that, but we also search for God together. So what can be better than that? It is so nice to see more and more people responding and wanting to get involved.
Yeah.
Actually, in our event, we have Others Gate Church coming and serving. And it is so nice, like you're saying, I might have some hesitancy, some fears, the culture, I don't know, I'm gathering with a bunch of Hispanics, I don't even know if I'm going to know how to communicate. But when you put down those fears and you dare, to say, okay, I'm gonna see what's this about, and see how can I serve, how can I help, how can I be hospitable, and show that love of God, to people that I don't even know. And I think when you are able to cross those barriers, and I think it goes both ways. It is amazing the love that you can feel. It is amazing the sense of community that you're saying, when those barriers are broken. And it's beautiful just to see God in action through coming together, in one accord, like the Bible says.
As I think about, I've known you the whole time that you've been here, and as I think about the years that you have come, as you've come in and kind of gotten adjusted to our culture, and as you've come into this community, which we believe we feel is a unique community in itself. We're Southern Illinois culture, we're American culture, but we feel like there's something special going on, especially here lately in Marion. We have Third Thursday events. We have Bible studies happening at Crown Brew downtown. We have Russ and the Ethos work that's happening there as they're supporting small business and those of us that are in business together and working together. How do you feel about how we're doing as far as growing closer to your idea of community, and then what do you see in our culture that you're feeling more and more comfortable with as you kind of acclimate, to life here, and that would translate then to others in a similar situation that some of your folks at Churros and others that have come in maybe more recent years and are still adapting to life here.
Yes, you mentioned Thursdays. Yeah. And Marion Connects, and I think the events have been really, really awesome opportunities for us to come together as a community. We actually had a participation with Marion Connects through the Fiesta at the Plaza, and we were part of hosting that particular event that Thursday, and we had the chance to bring students from SAU to dance, and we had salsa dancing at the plaza, and we had nachos and salsa and churros and chocolate. It was such a nice evening, and for me, that was the very first time I witnessed the Hispanic community being so present in Marion, Illinois. and everybody mingling so well, and everybody welcoming the activities that we had planned so well. Everybody dancing salsa, everybody just having such a great time.
Yeah.
I was such, impressed, and of course the work that Marion Connects did for us and allow us to participate from that. But I think it's a beginning, but I think it's a great beginning, honestly, because things like that have brought us together in a way in which December is an example too. The parade that we had for Christmas parade in Marion. I mean, we were upstairs at Ethos on the second floor, and we were looking outside. And I remember thinking, where am I? It's like, what is this place,
Yeah.
And seeing Marion like that, and seeing Marion grow so much, and yes, that might be isolated events or events once a month, or activities that don't happen often, but it is in those opportunities when we have the chance to have interactions. We're growing a little bit, slowly maybe, but we are having that opportunity to meet each other, and to know each other, and to see each other, people that I've never seen. And I'm thinking, Marion is so big, when we have these events, I'm like, where is all these people going? And it's just such a great beginning, I think, and seeing that, and people, I think they're also craving, I feel like I'm not the only one craving for community.
Right.
I feel like, places like Marion was also craving for community.
Absolutely.
And this is just the start of what hopefully the many things we're going to see.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it's something I think that's innate in us, that we do want to connect not just to God but to our neighbors. And so when we have people like yourself coming in from a different culture with what you can bring to it, we, as Monica said, we have so much to learn from that, and we are even emboldened a little bit when we are able to intermingle and do things together, and what a value that is that you bring to us in that way. And so what we are about here is we're trying to really, as a podcast, as my company, we're trying to just really encourage these kind of things that are happening, so much of it downtown, but throughout the community. And like you said, when you have those events, they just come out of the woodwork, and all of a sudden you realize there are a lot more people and a lot more friends to make here than you knew. And you go to Churros, and we want to plug Churros one more time. Churros and Chocolate meets on Sunday nights now, every Sunday night at the Boys and Girls Club. At what time?
5 p.m.
5 p.m. You come on out for ministry and times of worship together and times of teaching together. There's also a youth ministry that's happening, children's ministry.
Children's ministry.
Yeah.
Yes, both. And the last Sunday of every month, we have a dinner church. So everybody brings a dish to share, bring friends, because that's the whole focus of that last Sunday of the month, to bring friends, to invite people. We want to be an inviting community, right?
Yeah.
Not go back to isolate ourselves like this is our culture and we keep it for ourselves. We
Right.
just want to be open for the whole community to experience, cultural diversity, and experience what it's a bilingual worship. We have songs we sing in Spanish and English. The service is all translated bilingual. The sermon is translated all bilingual. So it's for all peoples. We don't want to say this is just Hispanic, right? This is just for multicultural families. This is just for everybody who wants to experience, the having the bilingual experience, but also experience the love of God through an international community that come together every Sunday at 5. And yes, please come and experience what Churros and Chocolate is.
I'm just really happy to have you here, and it's been a pleasure getting to know you. And I hope everyone that hears this comes on out and gets to experience everything that you have to offer as well.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
for
much.
inviting me.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Rocio. Thanks for
Thank you
being
for
with
having
us.
me.
Yeah.
Okay, so now before we leave our podcast today, there's a couple of other issues that we need to address. These are very important issues that one of them has been ongoing since our very first podcast episode, and that is this ongoing debate between caramel and caramel, which, as I've stated, the correct pronunciation of this word is caramel, correct?
Well, or caramel. I think you know, like I think
Yeah,
a
well,
lot
that's-
of people are kind of pulling for caramel.
Yeah, and in this case, we seem to have a lot of wrong people, but it has been overwhelming. So anyway, I just wanted to bring this up again because now Mayor Absher has chimed in on this, and I'm bringing this up because Mayor Absher sent me a text actually, and said it is caramel.
Oh, right.
3 syllables.
I see.
And so I think that settles it once and for all.
I'm still into caramel.
Tom is in the caramel. Tom doesn't live in Marion, so I guess
No.
he's allowed to have a different opinion.
I'm from Tennessee, so I don't know anything.
The official way to say it now in Marion. It's been mayor mandated.
Proclamation, right?
Yeah, matter of fact, I think he said there would be
It's a mandate.
a proclamation forthcoming if necessary. So it seems like it may be necessary. Next thing, I brought up in another episode the ongoing pigeon problem in my building. So yesterday I went back up there.
To fight the pigeons.
Yeah, because I'd left a window open, thinking they would finally come to their senses and just move on out the windows. Right.
Right.
I think there are more. We got more pigeons now than we had before.
I could have told you that.
I think there's like 20 now.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and it was crazy yesterday. I went all out. I opened another window in the next room, which is a bigger window, and I took a broom. As I said, I would not hurt a pigeon, but I'm kind of shooing them in the right direction. The problem is, as I said before, these rafters are open so they can fly easily from room to room. They don't have to swoop down. Thankfully, they don't have to swoop down to me to get past me. They can go up and above the walls of this upper floor that we have at our building on the square. So it seems like it's not going to be fixed easily.
They're multiplying.
It feels like it. And there was a couple that I witnessed actually find their way to these windows and get out, but to get through the windows they have to drop down to a lower level to go out.
Right. So I think you've commented once that the pigeons are sweet. Did you say that? Why are they sweet?
Well, I mean, they coo. They have such a sweet coo.
They have coo,
right?
yeah.
But when they get fired up, matter of fact, we have a little video clip. I'm going to go ahead and I wasn't going to share this, but I'm going to share this little video clip from the battle. It was a battle. It was just it was a very SPCA friendly effort to get the birds out.
Okay.
And we'll show a little bit of that clip now. You can hear them all talking to each other, trying to come up with a plan. Come on, guys. The windows are staying wide open. Go. Couldn't make it any easier for you. Get out of here. Hey guys. Time to move out. Time to get out. Come on. That window right there is wide open. You can do this. All right. Windows are open. Time to get out. Lived here rent-free too long. Fly free. Live free. Hey! What are you doing here? They're coming in, not leaving. Hi. Yeah. So there you see that I feel like I did everything I could.
To a point.
To a point, yeah. We'll keep you posted on that, folks.
You know, there may be baby pigeons on the way.
There could be. They did seem very protective.
Yeah, I have a feeling they're protecting their babies, yeah.
Right. Well, so speaking of babies leaving the nest, what a transition that was. It's graduation time, right? And we got a lot of kids that are, and we mentioned this in our interview with Rocio a little while ago. You know, we go through this transition. Some of them will move on to other places, go to school. Hopefully, through our efforts in Marion, we'll get them to come back at some point and rejoin us here. But I wanted to give a shout out. We had different commencements happening around the county over the last week, and a friend of mine graduated from Marion High School on Thursday night, and I was going to show his picture. This is my buddy Malachi. I'm going to aim it up to that camera there. Okay, this is Malachi Cox. Malachi is a member of my small group. We have a small group in the student ministry at Marion Aldersgate Church. And I've known Malachi now for a few years. He's also a fellow bass player, I think no, he doesn't have his bass. I thought he had his bass in that photo. But he's turned into quite a young man. I'm also mentioning him because he works for us. He does a lot of our drops. You might see Malachi around Carterville and Heron dropping papers. But anyway, congratulations to Malachi and his entire senior class. It's an outstanding group of seniors this year at Marion, and they should be very proud of themselves.
Yeah.
We do have a Monica Minute.
Yeah. We're going to be tasting and showing you things that you can get up at the Tower Square.
And we're going to bring on our producer, Abbie, and our director, Tom, to help us with that. And so you'll get to see them on camera for the first time. And then we'll be back with another podcast or two.
Yeah.
Sound good?
Looking forward to it. Yeah.
Thanks again, everybody, for joining us. We've enjoyed it. We'll see you next time here on Squared Up. Thanks for listening, and thanks for watching.